Welcome back to Drunk Bible Study Bonus Edition, everyone. Wow, we are in for an interesting time in Isaiah. I fear, maybe not fear, like I'm excited about it, but this episode was only the second one, and we are deep into Isaiah's fever dream of whatever the heck is going on here.
I
don't
will
know.
take it over endless IKEA instructions and repetition.
I guess you're right. Yeah. It's just like a different flavor for the Bible, you know? Like we've gotten like super waxing poetic in Job. We've gotten more action-packed in like Genesis and Exodus. And then just like sheer boredom and Numbers and Deuteronomy. And now we're in for something a little bit different. So I don't know. What do you two think about it?
Yeah, it is definitely like a change of pace, a change of gears, a change. It does actually remind me a little bit of Job, where we're kind of going back to like what is like the feeling of what we're going for, and what are we trying to discuss within that context, instead of just like, here's a chronology of the kings and sort of a historical account of what happened. It is very different for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's a fun time. And let's see, what did I look up today? I looked up about stuff that happened like towards the beginning.
You said you looked up all the food.
I looked up some of the food stuff. So
Okay.
So, in chapter 5, he talked about grapes. He talked about these wild grapes, which also could be thought of as garbage grapes from different. That was in the message that they talked about garbage grapes. Yeah. So, from this biblical commentary on BibleHub.com, apparently it's a small grape. So it says, with reference to the wild grape, a writer describing the useful plants of Greece says its fruit consists of very small berries, not much larger than bilberries, with a harsh flavor.
Bilberries. I don't know how big bilberries are.
Yeah, what are they?
They look to be about the size of blueberries. They look like blueberries.
Oh, well, a grape, I guess, is bigger than a blueberry.
But the thing, though, is that wine grapes are actually quite small. Some varietals, anyway. That's surprising. They're actually almost closer to the size of blueberries. So I don't know what they're going on about.
I don't know. I mean, maybe in that time, like, varietals of grapes were one specific size, and they shunned all the other sizes of grapes.
Yeah, maybe these, what are they called? Bilberries?
Bilberries.
Maybe these bilberries just don't make good wine. They're just gross.
Maybe. I mean, it's not specifically bilberries, but it's the size that it indicates that it's like a size of a bilberry.
Garbage grapes make garbage wine. Everyone knows
I guess
that.
so. It just says, okay, finally it says, these were the grapes which the vineyard produced, such as you might indeed have expected from a wild vine, but not from a carefully cultivated vine of the very choicest kind.
Yes.
So thank you, BibleHub.com, for that searing indictment of these bilberries. I don't know.
These bilberry-esque
And
grapes.
what other food stuff did you look up?
I looked up stuff about butter and honey. So, okay.
Did you actually find anything? Because I wasn't sure what you would find from that.
It says, okay, and everyone take this with a grain of salt because it's on BibleStudyTools.com.
Or maybe a pound of butter.
Yeah, a pound of butter. I don't know.
Salted
Not
butter.
a pound of butter, a pat of butter.
A
Jeez,
pat.
Emily.
What's a pat? Like a little, like...
A little slice.
Pat. Little pat.
Just pat it down there, yeah.
But salted butter. So then you're getting a grain of salt and you're getting a pat of butter at the
Salt
same time.
and pat of butter, yeah. It says, as the Messiah Jesus no doubt did since he was born in a land flowing with milk and honey, and in a time of plenty, being in a time of general peace. So that's interesting. This is something that that's not going to like happen for a long time, but that he existed around a time of general peace, at least when he was a baby.
In the prophecy, he's predicting that this baby will be born at a time of general peace. He'll be able to eat butter and honey, and there'll be plenty, and it'll be great.
Well, yeah, it says so that this phrase points at a place where and in the time when the Messiah should be born, as well as expresses the truth of his human nature and the manner of his bringing up, which was in common with that of other children. It signifies the cream of milk as well as the butter. And milk and honey were common food for infants during this time.
Hold on. I don't know who is writing this, but this...
Some person...
Well, this is from where?
Bible Study... BibleStudyTools.com, or our favorite.
But I'm like what this sounds like to me is they're like, yeah, it means he's a baby and he's gonna be a child. He's gonna eat food,
Well,
like babies
also
eat food.
It goes further than that, because it does say that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good.
Yes.
Meaning not knowledge of good and bad food, so as to choose the one and refuse the other, but knowledge of moral good and evil. And this does not...
I'm sorry, again, I did not need that clarified. When that verse went on to say he'll know to choose the good and reject the evil, I wasn't thinking he's going to become a connoisseur of butter and honey.
Well, it literally says this after, this does not design the end of his eating butter and honey, as if that was in order to gain such knowledge, which have no such use and tendency.
I'm firing this writer. I'm putting them in the garbage. They can go in the garbage with the grapes. This is... says that he'll live on this food until he was grown up. Okay, good. You shouldn't be giving honey to babies anyway.
He's gonna eat all this butter and honey and stuff until he gets older.
I mean, I'm no baby nutritionist, so I can't weigh in on this honey and butter.
I feel like he's going to need more than just that.
On literally every single package of honey or jar of honey, it says, don't feed honey to infants under a year of age.
Really?
Have you not noticed that?
No.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
You're not supposed to give it to them.
I've never seen that.
Is it because it will bring about the destruction of your kingdom from the Assyrians?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
I don't know.
Good.
But okay.
Apparently there's a risk of infant botulism, specifically.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So it must be because, I mean, some honey is not pasteurized in
Definitely wasn't back then.
With raw honey.
Yeah, with raw honey. I mean,
and I think
raw honey
it's
is
like
supposed to be the best for you. But
probably something about their digestive flora, not being established
vegan,
enough to be able to deal with the bugs that are in raw honey. So don't give your baby raw honey.
Yeah.
Don't do it. I know you came to this podcast for baby advice, and I'm telling you, don't do it.
Don't do it.
There you go.
Wow. Well, okay, that's interesting, Emily, because the stuff that I ended up looking up was about the whole "virgin shall conceive" line.
Okay.
And it sounded like what you were reading
has everything to do with what I just talked about.
Well, what you were reading all had to do with that prophecy. They were talking about that baby and like it determining right from wrong and like all those sorts of things, which is all having to do with that prophecy, where he was talking about this virgin shall conceive a baby that will eat milk and honey, and before it can tell right from wrong, I guess some things will happen.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Some stuff will happen. I don't know.
Some stuff will happen. Yeah. So, okay. This one clearly is a verse that is talked about a lot. And
I have a very strong association of always reading the handful of verses in Isaiah.
Do you?
Specifically at Christmas Eve services at church.
Right.
Fascinating.
Right. And for me, the association is with Handel's Messiah, which of course references that, which I'm not actually sure if Handel's Messiah is referencing Isaiah directly or if it's quoting the book of Matthew, perhaps, that's quoting Isaiah. But like, so something that I learned in looking this up is that Isaiah, at the time of the writing of the Gospels in the New Testament, Isaiah was like the hotness, right?
Oh, cool.
Everybody loved it.
He's like so the hotness.
Like all the early Christians were super into Isaiah, which
was he because he was like the Hamilton, this like obscure historical figure that everyone was suddenly like, oh my god, now that we know what he's about and we read his hit musical, he's super hot and cool and everyone knows about him.
Yeah, perhaps. perhaps in Jerusalem at the time of Jesus' birth, there had also just been a musical that came out that was Isaiah the musical.
Yes.
I love it.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Perfect casting.
Yeah. So what I learned was that the book of Isaiah was the most popular of all the prophetic books amongst early Christians, and it accounts for more than half of all the allusions and quotations in the New Testament.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's a
So
lot.
Isaiah is a big freaking deal for this time.
Dang.
And over half of the quotations and allusions are from Isaiah, and more than half of those quotations and allusions are quotations attributed to Jesus. So he also, in the Gospels, quotes Isaiah a lot.
Okay,
Whoa.
huge Hamilton fan. Great.
Huge Hamilton fan. He loved
big.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So something too that's kind of interesting just to deal with like historically is that what we're reading right now was, written in Hebrew, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that by the time of Jesus, the Jews of Palestine didn't speak Hebrew anymore. They spoke Greek because they're the ones who had kind of conquered that. Greek and Aramaic. So kind of the two languages during Jesus' time are Greek and Aramaic, but at the time we're reading now, it was Hebrew. So there's, when you're comparing like a word that's used in the Old Testament to a word that's used in the New Testament, right from the start, there's a little bit of a translation question because they were in two different languages.
Okay.
Right? So this comes up because in this thing in Isaiah, he prophesies this virgin, in quotes.
Whatever that means. It could
having
mean
a baby.
many different things. Yeah.
Right. So the word that is used here is Almah, which is a Hebrew word for a young woman of childbearing age, generally associated with it being her first child, that she has not had a child before.
Okay.
I see. So
makes
just
sense.
her
That's
womb
kinda
is
it.
virginal,
Yeah.
not necessarily
That's a
her
good point.
vagina.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, my womb's virginal.
Yeah, I'm a womb virgin also.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this word Alma that's used here in Isaiah just refers to a young woman who potentially hasn't had a child before, maybe still has. That's unclear. And that she will name her son Emmanuel, and the wording and the grammar makes it clear that she is the one who names the son this. So I guess that's the prophecy, is that like someone's going to have a kid and she's going to name her kid this. Mm-hmm. That's part of the prophecy. And that it's kind of about the time frame, because it's like before this child can tell right from wrong or say mommy and daddy or whatever, God will have taken care of your enemies. Right?
Good.
So that's
nice.
that.
Thanks, God.
Great.
Meanwhile, in the book of Matthew, he uses the word, where is it? Here, I just looked it up, Parthenos, which is a Greek word that does more mean virgin. And
as in our sense of the word virgin.
Our sense of the word virgin, yeah. It's apparently there's like a little debate about that, but from what I could find in the Greek, it is a little more clear. And so there's this debate of like Matthew uses this word Parthenos to talk about this prophecy from Isaiah and kind of puts
that
this meaning of virgin on it that perhaps had not been there in the original prophecy. Right. And so part of the stuff I learned about this that was crazy is that the Revised Standard Version of the Bible, which came out a while back in 1952, translators rendered this word Alma from the Old Testament as young woman instead of virgin. And
fascinating.
It became a huge controversy.
Oh no, because it's like, how dare you imply that maybe
it wasn't
not
the
Mary
prophecy.
has had sex.
Well, this isn't even about Mary. This is about the prophecy from Isaiah. But how dare you imply that this prophecy might not be about this thing
a straight
from
up
Matthew,
virgin,
right?
Jeez.
And so what was it? There was apparently a very public burning of a copy of the Revised Standard Version from a pastor.
Gracious.
And yeah, it became this like big deal And so then there's also this argument about this word Parthenos from the New Testament, also originally apparently meant young woman and not virgin. And it wasn't until later Greek that it became that it came to mean virgin in the sense of not having sex. So even during Matthew's time, it might not have meant that thing that we now take it to. So yeah, anyway, the whole thing was super fascinating of just how much drama goes on around specific wording and what prophet musicals were hot during the time of Jesus' birth.
And like you've said on the show before of how much power translators have.
Oh, for sure.
Oh gosh, yeah. Because what if King James, I don't know,
had a different stance on it? Yeah.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that is what my grandmother found to be the word of God, and everything else was blasphemy essentially in comparison
to the King James.
So yeah, totally. And I'm assuming she's not the only one, so that's really interesting.
That's nuts.
Whew.
Well,
all right, what did you do, Dedeker?
Yeah, I wanted to look more into Isaiah the man with his
the man's pen.
Yeah,
his man's good.
Pen.
God, I can't. I will never get over that. Probably ever.
So what I find, we don't have any stories about him being born or growing up. He just kind of shows up. And that was very much our experience of him.
He just dropped down from heaven and showed up.
Yeah, exactly.
Just popped in.
Much like Lin-Manuel Miranda.
That is true. We didn't get any prophecies about his birth that I know of.
Yeah.
So there are some modern interpretations of some of the chapters that we read where they talk about the prophetess to actually mean him referring to his own wife.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did come across that
weird.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is God speaking through her too, or does she just automatically become a prophetess because she's married to a prophet?
There's both theories. It's not sure whether she was also able to have that gift, the prophetic gift, or if it's just she's the wife of the prophet. She becomes the prophetess by default. And to clarify, again, this interpretation goes so far to explain, they had two sons. Mm-hmm. The oldest, our
Cain
favorite.
And Abel.
No, our favorite, Shir-Jashub.
Oh, right, Shir-Jashub, yeah.
And the younger
one,
and the younger one, Maher-Shalal-Hashbaz.
Oh, that's the other one, right.
Yes.
He's the one he wrote in the envelope in Chris Angel style.
Ali?
Yeah.
Maher-Shalal-Hashbaz.
Okay, we need to get Mahershala Ali to play him, though.
Okay.
I love him. He already has 2 Oscars.
I like that a lot of our
should
casting...
get him a third, okay?
A lot of our casting for this show is just on how similar is your name to this person in the thing.
It's fine,
Christian Bale got his role that way.
Yeah, totally.
So Isaiah also shows up in Islam as well.
Okay,
His Islam name is often Ishaya or Shia. Specifically, he's
Shia
not
LaBeouf.
specifically.
We'll cast him for that role.
Cool, got it. He's kind of on the outs right now, but we'll see when we actually get around to casting him.
He's already Lin-Manuel Miranda.
No, not as Isaiah.
Not
as his son.
Isaiah. Yeah.
No, but I was saying that Isaiah is in Islam, and his name is Shia.
He has a different name.
Ishaya.
Oh. Okay, what if we hire Shia LaBeouf to do the voiceover for the Arabic version of the movie?
Great. Get Shia LaBeouf to just speak Arabic. Learn Arabic real quick to ADR it.
Okay, perfect.
Oh my goodness. So also shows up in Islam. He's not specifically mentioned by name in the Quran, but he's shown up in different Islamic texts and sources. Now, here's the interesting thing, is I found a lot of stories about Isaiah's death specifically.
Oh.
I know this is jumping ahead. However, my understanding is that Isaiah's death is not mentioned in the Bible.
Oh.
We're not going to come across his death.
Away.
Kind of just, I think he writes his book and then he drops the mic and is out. And we move on to other prophets.
Goes and lives on a private island.
Yeah. However,
good for him.
In Islamic texts and in rabbinical texts, they share stories of his death, and there's slightly different versions of it. However, the common theme is that Isaiah hides inside a tree.
What?
Somehow.
That sounds like the game that I just finished, God of War, where we have to cut a guy out of a tree. And he's in there for a long time.
That.
For like
he's
centuries.
Scared of the king. He hides inside a tree.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Somehow he's kind of given away. Like in one version of the story, the fringes on his clothing sticks out and he's given away.
Boy.
And so the king...
Dang fringes.
I know. And the king orders the tree sawed in half and he dies from being sawed in half.
That's horrifying and also a lot like God of War.
Well, they probably ripped it off.
I mean, maybe the Bible ripped it off of, Greek and Roman mythology. Maybe.
That's possible, yeah.
It's possible. I guess we'd have to look at the timeline. Now, here's the interesting thing. Is as soon as 2018, just a few years ago, there was an archaeologist who found the
body
seal.
of Isaiah in a tree.
No.
What?
No.
The bones of Isaiah.
Who
they
found
found
a seal.
Seal that they think belonged or was referencing the prophet Isaiah. Like they found it in an excavation that was really close to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. It was really close to a seal that had the name of Hezekiah on it as well. And so on the seal, it had the name of Isaiah written on it, and then it says NVY, and it's cut off, and they don't know whether that NVY is the word prophet or if it's just a continuation of his name being Navi. So either it's Isaiah the prophet or Isaiah Navi.
Wait, Navi?
Listen, I'm going to float around and...
Listen!
Exactly.
Like that? Okay.
Exactly.
Cool. Wow, here we are.
So yeah, so this is like the most compelling archaeological evidence that they found connected to Isaiah.
Wow.
That's amazing. I also I just looked up, I just did a Google search for hiding in a tree to see what would happen, and I found this 6-step instructables about how to make a hiding spot in a tree.
Oh.
And this person's, first of all their pictures are like motion blurry and terrible, taken from like a phone from the early 2000s or something. And the writing goes like this. I was in the woods thinking about random stuff. I was thinking about how to hide stuff from my brothers. Then it hit me. Hide it inside a tree. So I found a pine tree. That was kind of out of the way and tried to figure out how to do this. This is the process I went through to make a pretty cool hiding spot in a tree. And it's like step by step how to like take your knife and like carve out a little hole in the tree and put it.
Was it written by Isaiah?
I think it might have been. I love this too. Now, the last step goes, now you need to tack the bark cover onto the tree. When you do this, you only need to tack the top so that you can open close the hole when you need to get stuff in/out. Now you have a hole that you can hide random stuff in. I hid my knife in there so my brothers couldn't find it and hurt themselves. I'm so caring, I know.
Yeah.
I know the cover doesn't completely cover
it,
but I made this in like 10 minutes, so it's okay. And I didn't take the bark from the tree away from the hole, but whatever.
Wow.
That's the end of the article.
God.
Good. Okay, well, we've learned a lot in this particular bonus episode.
I think we have.
There's a lot to unpack. Like, I hope that you all enjoyed it. My goodness. I'm so interested to see what happens further with Isaiah. I'm sure that it'll just continue to be that fever dream. And you know what? We're along for this ride. We have strapped in. We have ridden this roller coaster. We are on the ride. So here we go. We hope that you take that ride with us, and we'll see you next time.